Rise and grind, it's that time. Morning sun, coffee chime. 3 small folks, 1 average bro. Tune in now, let's start the show. Tiny crew, big dreams, brewing thoughts, vivid schemes, sipping on that morning brew. Got that energy, how about you? Little bit of coffee, little bit of fun, kicking off the day, everybody come. Perk up your ears, hear the latest buzz. Grab your mug, join the morning fuss. Short in size, tall in spirit. Every topic, yeah, we near it. Laughter news.
So grab your Joe and let's go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What up?
Good morning, good morning, good
Make
morning.
some noise, everybody. Hey,
Doing excellent. Have a good time.
welcome to a little bit of coffee where we take the mundane boring out of your Monday morning. Welcome. I am your host, the one and only POD. POD. Now make some noise for my sidekick. He's like the father of Colin, DJ Pappy.
Hello, everybody.
Last but not least, this guy, he is 4'9", and he thinks he's awfully fine. I got other words I call him, but we won't say that on the air. Make some noise for short guy. All right, so gentlemen, welcome. How's your week been?
Been a good week. It's been a very good week.
Very good week.
Had a fun time.
Nice weather.
I wish I could say I was a long time fan of this our next guest, but I just seen a lot of her stuff, and she is amazing. She is like,
Yes.
Very funny.
I too watched her bits this week and getting preparation for the show, and she is an absolute riot. And
Yeah.
I can't wait to get the interview and get to know her more in person.
Oh, yeah.
And
Since we've brought her up quickly here, and it's Tanyalee Davis, by the way, and she is the Guinness World Book of Records shortest female comedian. I actually, when I got told that, I had to go look, and I brought the Guinness World Book page up today, and my goodness, check this out. You can't see it, check. She has it going on.
awesome.
She been doing it. I think I read it shortly, but she's been doing it, I think, since 1999. Was featured in several contests throughout the years, and now she just makes a living at it. And
That's awesome.
wow, she
Again,
just really, yeah.
no, she
Yeah.
is phenomenal. I can't wait to talk to her.
Pappy, is your fiance familiar with her as well?
Yes, very much. She's a big fan.
Oh, I thought they knew each other on a personal level.
I don't think so. I don't.
What the after which comes on thing?
it's
I was
hiding under a rock because even Samantha's heard of her.
She's heard of her, but she's not. They're not.
No, I mean,
friends.
she's watched some of her stuff up, but she's there's clips of all kinds of comedians on TikTok and shorts on YouTube, and
Yeah.
she's all over the place. I mean,
Tanyalee is. She's awesome.
it's these people
Well,
that been so accomplished and been around forever. You almost feel ashamed that you don't even know them.
I feel like we've known her.
Yeah.
Shortcut, you said you got one of her clips. Let's play one of her clips and then we'll go to a short little break and we'll bring her on the stage then.
Okay, it's like almost 2 minutes. Here you go.
Keep it going, can everybody? Give Mike a round of applause. Did you see him? He picked me up. Give him he didn't even use his hands. Soak it in, everybody. I'm 3 foot 3 inches tall. That's right. I got a body like a Chihuahua, pit bull personality, but a corgi. I have a form of dwarfism. Just 2 tall people created this. I was born in Thompson, Manitoba, Canada, 1970. Both my parents are tall. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a bush pilot. It was 1970, so my mother had a huge bush. I was flying on an American Airlines flight. All of a sudden, the flight attendant comes over and she goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, is your seat FAA approved?" And immediately I thought, oh, of my scooter, right? Obviously. And she was like, no, the seat you're sitting on. And I was like, well, I'm on an airplane seat. I hope it's FAA approved. Why are you asking me? Didn't you go to some training for this? Right? And then she doubles down like I'm in the asshole, right? And she goes, no, the seat you're sitting on. And that's when I went, my ass? Did you just ask me if my ass was FAA approved? Right? So picture, if you will, right? A dwarf walking onto an airplane. Sizable height difference, right? But when we sit down, we're eye to eye, right? So when the flight attendant came over, she thought I was sitting on a booster seat. So when I showed her it was my big fat ass, she was like, nine, 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 nine. She started twitching, smoke coming out of her ears, can't compute, right? And at first I was like, oh my God, I'm getting ass shamed. Woo! And normally it happens in Chinese food restaurants. Oh, you need to push the seat. You need to push the seat. I'm like, I'm good. No, you're tiny. You're tiny. You need to push the seat. I'm like, I'm good. Right? Then I sit down. They're like, how'd you do that? I'm a firm believer that being offended is a choice, you guys. Being offended is a choice. If I was offended every time some dumbass said something to me, I'd never leave the house. And to prove I have a great sense of humor, you guys, I got a brand new tattoo on my left ass cheek that's a stamp. AA approved. Thank you guys. I'm Tanyalee Davis. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
That is
What
awesome.
a dude, what a
that fit.
So let's go to commercial. I cannot wait to meet her face to face.
Yes.
We'll be right back. And welcome back. And ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for our guest, the one Tanyalee Davis.
Am I off
It's
center?
so nice to meet you.
Welcome to who cares? I think all of us little people are a little off center, don't you?
Crooked.
Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to a little bit of coffee.
Hello.
Hope you are. We're glad to have you. This morning, when you first come into the backstage, I got to admit, you started as a comedian with me because you were just like, y'all are little people? You didn't know that this was a little person show.
No, I had
We'll
no
keep
idea.
it. We'll keep
Quite
it
a
short.
surprise.
Yeah, we'll keep it all short. In fact, we tell everybody, a little bit of coffee is the one company that is short staffed, but it doesn't mean we're hiring. So, ma'am, obviously that's not my comedy's not my career.
Everybody's downsizing these days. So.
I'm just trying to measure up. Just trying to measure up.
Yeah.
So I see you were born and raised in Canada.
Yep. Thompson, Manitoba, up near Hudson Bay in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
1970s. So of course, I have dystrophic dysplasia, which is a recessive gene, and so that means two tall people created this. And so my parents had no idea they were, in 1970. So
my parents same way.
That's it.
Yep.
My parents were normal height, and they had. I'm a achondroplasia, which is the most common, as you say in your comedy act. But they had no idea that my dad was a big burly man, and they were totally surprised when they had me.
I'm just Italian, 4'9". I don't know. I've never been diagnosed with anything, so I don't know if I got any form of dwarfism at all.
Well, there's like over 400 different types now. They just keep coming up with more and more. It's just, it's getting very specific. diastrophic, but then there's different strains and, different strains of this and that. It's the science of it all is quite crazy.
It is. It is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
You said you live your comedy, and so some of those people that they have a bit that they go by, and you actually do derive a lot of your comedy from life, and so that airport thing actually happened with the flight.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So my act has changed quite a lot. I've been doing it for 35 years. I actually started in 1990, and so up until the lockdown, prior to COVID and everything, I was kind of telling jokey jokes and club material and stuff like that. But then when the lockdown happened, I took to social media, started talking to people, I spent 2 to 6 hours a day on social media, just talking to people. And of course, people wanted to talk. So I would just tell stories. And my husband's like, you need to do that on stage. But as a comedian, we are kind of programmed where when you're talking, as a comedian, you want the laughs, right? It takes a certain level of confidence and to be able to tell a story on stage and not have that laughter coming at you. But you're taking people on a journey. And as long as you're a good storyteller and you're locked in, right? The audience is locked. Hear a penny drop in the room up until the relevant moments when they then are supposed to laugh, but that's actually far more powerful. So I started talking about situations that I run into, and it's just, I had to make a conscious, decision to myself to be aware of get into. And that particular the flight that I was on, I actually had somebody with me, and normally when situations like that happen, I can't film my T-Rex arms, right? Trying to do a selfie, you just get your face, your nose, right? But I had Patsy, so I was like, get the camera. So we were able to capture the moment, as it happened, and we were giggling so much. And then, of course, I was like, oh, this would be hilarious if I got a tattoo. So then I filmed that, it's been just over 2 years since that incident happened. But, I had a merch, T-shirts, approved T-shirts that went like hotcakes. Get constant requests to see the tattoo, but
awesome.
That's going to cost you. So
right. Great story.
So when you first got into the comedy, and this was going to become a career of yours, how did your parents feel about it? Were they very supportive?
Well, okay. So my parents got divorced when I was quite young, so both two families. So my dad and my stepmom lived in the States, and I lived with my mom and my stepdad in Canada. And my parents, when I graduated from high school, were basically like, you need to go to university so you can get a real job and support yourself. And I'm like, but I want to be an actress. And they're like, you're going to go to university so you can get a real job and support yourself. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll go to university and I'll study theater. Well, when you go to university, actually study theater, you sit there in a classroom and read books. You don't actually get to perform. So I did that for a year, and then I dropped out of university. I went traveling. I went to Australia. I went, backpacking, and I came back, and all my friends were at university. So then I decided to go back and pursue my sociology degree, which I do have. Okay. But at the same time, I started doing community theater, and I got the lead in the first production. I was Perry the Penguin. Typecasting, had the walk down, nailed it, and started dating a guy in the production. He played the villain, and apparently he had a thing for penguins. Boom. And so he was the one that introduced me to comedy. He's like, I'm going down to an open mic tonight. Do you want to come check me out? I was like, what's an open mic? What's comedy? What's a comedy club? So, I grew up watching, Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, Laurel and Hardy. So I loved laughing. I loved physical. So when I went down to this comedy club and saw people getting up on stage performing, and then my guy got up there and he was terrible. He was completely and instinctively I knew what he was doing wrong. So he's like, you think you can do better? I was like, yep. So he wrote me, or I wrote material. I went up. I started getting paid 3 months into it. 4 months into it, he dumped me. Couldn't handle the competition. Turns out he started dating a seal. And yeah, that's how I got into it. And then once I was hooked, I was hooked. And
It's a drug.
my parents came to see me. My mom and my stepdad came to see me the first, I think, second or third show, and I bombed on my ass, like totally bombed. I think I heard, somebody I knew laugh, and it kind of threw me off. So they're like, "Well, at least you tried." And then they moved away, and about 3 months after that, I was then city that they lived in and getting paid to do it. So they were like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, "Yeah, your opinion doesn't mean anything. I'm going to keep doing this."
Well, prior to podcasting, I was an entertainer in the pro wrestling world, and my parents also never came to see me. My mother finally did one time, and the time she got to come, she sat in the corner of the wrestling front, and my opponent, on purpose, just to torment her, we used to do extreme stuff. So he cut my head open a little, and blood started pouring out of my head in front of my mom, and yeah, she didn't really have a desire to go after that much. So,
baby.
So, yeah.
Get in there and kick that guy's ass.
I've never had the guts to do stand up. If say you're what would be your advice for anybody like wanting to do stand up? I mean, like if anybody just got the passion, got the what would be your first step?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is you just got to get out there and get to a comedy. And there's people are running comedy clubs and laundromats and bowling alleys and bars and restaurants. So, there's a lot of stage time out there, and comedy's made a resurgence, thank goodness. We went through a time period where people, it's terrifying being a comedian because you have to walk on eggshells, I feel like. But now there's been a resurgence, and we're back making fun of everybody and everything, and that's the way it should be. And so getting on stage, and networking. You go to an open mic, sit there and watch, talk to the other comedians, and then you obviously take the chance, get up on stage and talk about, what makes you unique, your perspective on life, and as little people, we tend to, like I used to do your stereotypical stuff, and you got to go the dirtier route and that kind of thing. That par for the course. But as you evolve and as we get older, as people typically tend to become a little bit more or buttoned up and a little bit more conservative as you get older. But your perspective in life changes. So now that I'm 54 years old, been doing this for 35 years, I have a whole gamut of things to be able to talk about. So, I think our lives are a massive pool of material to grab from, because we have such a unique perspective, and the things that the situations that we get into in life are unlike anybody else. So by talking about those situations, I think it brings the using your sense of humor and making light of funny situations that some people would crumble, but as you can't crumble in life. Like, it's not difficult. You got to find the humor in it, and you got to rise above it and keep persevering.
Tanya, I used to aspiring comedian for about 40 years myself, and I just never got the break. And I used to do some of your stories are very similar to mine, and I was getting a big chuckle out of your stand-up. But I just I had 30 minutes of material. I could go out, and I got that down to about 10 to 15 now because I weeded out the stuff that just storytelling. But I kept it like a Bill Cosby style of storytelling with the short at the end of the story. But what would you give for me to advice? I know you said about going to the comedy stores and that kind of thing, but I never could get that break. I could never get. I thought
you got to make your own break. This is the thing: is it's not going to show up on your doorstep. You got to get out there, and this is a tough business.
So true.
You got to hustle, and you can't. You got to know your worth, and you got to keep. I mean, you have to keep. I mean, I've been there 35 years, and the majority of the population have no idea who I am, and that's fine. I've had a very amazing, lucrative career, but that doesn't make me, that doesn't mean I've had a break. I've just put my head down and friggin' go, and
kept going.
You
got the
gotta
hustle.
just start. You gotta start. You gotta start
Okay.
and just work your way up and network, and then opportunities will present as they are meant to be.
Thank you,
Tanya,
Tanya. I think you're amazing. I think you're absolutely amazing. So
agreed.
Agreed.
What I was going to add to that, as you were telling him how to become in that famous spotlight, as a wrestler, I went about as big as at that time I could go. I was the little person that created the very first All LP Wrestling Federation. Yeah. And now I was a terrible wrestler. I tell everybody that I was a terrible wrestler, but I was a great entertainer. That's always been my passion, just entertaining people, making them smile and laugh. And I could not have said that better than you just said it. Because I get people telling me all the time, what's the road to fame? The road to fame is you don't give up. And when you're promoting yourself, you have to make yourself what you are. You have to tell the world you're missing out if you don't have me on your show. If you go in and you promote yourself, then I'm not made it yet. Just try. They're not going to take you serious. You got to make yourself. You better get me now while the going's good. While I'm standing here in front of you.
Yeah, you also need to have like sort of the street cred in the sense that you have laid the foundation, and you got to start. I know a couple of people that are moving up very quickly, and it's because of their age. They started doing comedy within the last 3 or 4 years, but they're in their 50s, and they're doing very, very well, like very well, but they haven't had to have the grind. And when I started out, we didn't have cell phones. I had to send a VHS tape across Canada to a book club.
Yes.
Try to call them on a landline to try to arrange, and then they'd be like, okay, we're booking you for $50. You're going to fly to a city. You're going to get picked up by some dude or dudes in a car you've never met. You're going to spend 2 weeks in a car with these dudes. You're going to share hotel rooms with them. You're going to make $50, $25 to $50. But get out there and grind, and then just just if you do that, you appreciate the grind. For the people that kind of
paying the dues
form a little quickly, they kind of get like, well, what about that person? What they start, they don't appreciate it, and you get kind of a bit of an ego in this business, and I just think you got to start and you got to go appreciate it, and that way it gives you the foundation, and you've got the receipts at the end of the day when somebody comes up and goes, oh, you just got this because somebody gave you this opportunity. You're like, well, actually, no, I've been doing this, and I've done this and this and this crappy show, and
you got the scars to prove it.
Tanya, what would be the most outrageous thing that has happened to you along the way? What has someone done to you, or other than, I know you did the pilot story, the stewardess story, but
oh my gosh! I mean, there's
being on the road. I'm sure you get a lot of material from.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something. Wow, I mean, I fell on my head the other day, so that's what I'm talking about now. That has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just like, just stupid shit. So, can I tell you this story about what happened?
Sure.
On Monday, I got a mobility scooter, as many of us do. I can walk, I just can't walk far distances. And I live in an apartment that nothing's modified. And so Monday, our air conditioning has been out. So Monday morning, the AC guy shows up. He's a Eastern European dude, and he's up on a ladder, and he's trying to, he's going to mount this unit up on our wall. Meantime, I'm like, oh my God, this place is a pigsty. So I'm on my scooter, I grab my broom and my dustpan, and I'm sitting sideways on my scooter, and I'm holding the dustpan, the crap in the thing, and I turned and I leaned the wrong way. Instead of having the armrest across me to stop me, I leaned this way, and I lost my balance, and I was like leaning on the broom trying to push myself back up on my seat, but no, I was too far gone. So I ended up careening head first, and I landed. I always wear a flower, and I landed on my head on my flower, and I was like, ding. But the problem is I was upside down on my scooter, and I was wearing a dress. So this poor Eastern European AC guy is like on a ladder, looks down and see, dwarf down, right? And asked for dates, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I try to flip over. So then now I'm laying on the ground on my back, which I look like a fainting goat when I'm on the back because my legs are in the air, my arms are in the air, right? And I can't get up. I'm like a turtle when I'm on my back because I got a big booty, right? So he's like, do you need help? And I was like, super embarrassed. I'm like, come over. So he grabs me by the armpits, because I tell him, grab me by the pits and pick me up. So now I'm like holding onto the seat of my scooter and I'm about to crawl up and I feel something. I look down, blood. I look down, blood everywhere. I have now cracked.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, oh my God, right? And this guy's like, holy crap, I wasn't expecting this on a Monday morning. I got a dwarf with a big ass. Now her head's bleeding. This is, like, poor guy. He's like, nobody. And so I'm like, and I start screaming for my husband, but he's in the bathroom. He's taking a Stanley steamer, so he can't come rescue me. So the poor Middle Eastern European guy, like, get some paper towel. So he comes over, he's patting my head. Then he's like, well, I'm going to go back to work. Right? So then my husband comes on, and I see from his eyes, like, oh, this isn't good. So he's like, you got to wash it. He couldn't tell how bad my head was cut. I rinsed my head off, and it turns out that the hair clip here just gouged into my head. So,
you're okay then.
Anyway, so that it's basically, crazy shit happens, and that obviously people go, oh, be careful. I'm always trying to be careful, but sometimes we just land up on our heads. And you know what? Looking back at it, hilarious situation. If you look at it from the outside point of view. Yeah, and that's it. If you are going to tell stories about your life, create imagery. You want to paint the picture for people, and that's the key to being a strong storyteller. And that's one of the things that, and I bounce stuff, like that happened on Monday. Obviously, Monday afternoon, and I'm on TikTok. I start talking about it, and I literally craft the story talking to the people on TikTok. So now I haven't had a chance to, but now I'll talk about it on stage because it's hilarious. I got a big old boo on my head, but still here. So
thank God you are.
We'll be able to say you told it first on a little bit of coffee.
Right here.
There we go. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I wanted to ask you something. When I was running the wrestling federations, didn't happen often, but it did happen on occasion where places where I would get booked, you'd show up, and because of our statute, they would try to on us, bully us a little. You ever had any situations like that?
Not really. I wouldn't say bullying or anything. Like I got requirements as far as I need a table or a box or something to put me, on stage. Because Brad Williams, he's much taller than me. He's a good 1.5 feet taller. You Acons are like the tall ones on the chart, right? Right. And
so a lot I very rarely hear.
Yeah, exactly. And but completely on the opposite end. Right. And because I'm collapsing like a lawn chair because I have no cartilage in my joints, I'm literally, I was 3'8" at my tallest, then I was 3'7". Holding on to 3'3", boys. I'm like collapsing.
Oh no.
Yeah. Pretty soon I'll just be a head on an ass, but I'm in it till I'm not. So I'm essentially shrinking. So when I perform, it's too hard for me to stand. It hurts my back. So I need to sit down. Well, that makes me like 1.5 feet tall. So I table, and so that can cause some issues now with everybody, like, oh, it's against health and safety, you being on a table. I'm like, I take personal responsibility.
Amen.
And it's just the same thing with the wrestling. I get people go, how do you feel about the midget wrestling? I'm like, if they want to be chucked around, that's their prerogative.
Amen.
If I got no issue with anybody doing anything as long as they want to do it. I used to
not forcing the situation, right?
Them canceling it only hurts the people that they cancel it for. I mean, the little people that want to do those things, it's just canceling it for them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Peter Dinklage decided for everybody that it's appropriation or bullshit that that dwarves are playing dwarves and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he just
didn't want any competition.
Exactly. Take your Emmys and your Academy Awards and let the rest of us try to get a Disney movie that turns out some massive flop.
So
Right. We actually talked about that last week's show, at Tanyalee. Our last week's topic was just that the Snow White and the lack of us being able to get those jobs because they weren't computer animated, and it's just too bad that they did that.
Yeah, I was picking on it, calling the don't eat the yellow snow in the 7 baristas.
oh my God, that's funny. Yeah.
One of the other questions I wanted to ask you, and I apologize in advance. This comes off as a very awkward question for you, but years ago, I used to hang out with another little person, female, that was really, really extremely short. And when she would go to the entertainment gigs with us, she always needed carried, even though the club would be small. There was a lot of times the venues would hire an extra person just purposely to assist her in getting around the club because she was so much smaller. I was going to ask you, do you also do that a lot, get some extra assistance because of
I
the
can't wait
much
till
smaller?
I can't wait till I can afford to have somebody carrying me around. Man, that'd be awesome.
Wouldn't it though?
Yeah. Well, I'm not at that level yet. Once in a while, like if I, like right now, I had David Westgate traveling with me quite a bit. Average sized person, very funny guy, and just a great person to travel with. He knows that I have got a lot of extra issues and needs, and he's been so fantastic. And going above and beyond. So when I travel with my opening acts, I go, listen, I'm not your traditional headliner. Like sometimes you might have to help me put my shoes on,
Right.
or help me, pull the sheets back.
Get on stool.
And but people the benefit of the doubt. I'm a firm believer, but in general, people are pretty awesome. You always get,
Yes.
there's dickheads everywhere. But
Oh, absolutely.
I've run into too many situations in my life that I've had to rely on the kindness of strangers, and they've helped. And
Yes,
and,
ma'am, me too.
and so I have a lot of wonderful people in my life that do help when I need it. I'm getting to a point where it's more and more difficult for me to travel.
Right.
So if there's a situation where I can say, hey, can you guys afford to travel with me, like if I'm doing a TV gig or something on a rare occasion,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know, if I need an assistant, I'll take it if I can afford it, or if they can
Right.
pay for it, then yeah, definitely.
What's the most memorable moment? What was your pinnacle of your career when you became a comedian that you like doing it? Like mine was always to be on the Tonight Show when Johnny Carson was on it. And I'll never be able to do that because obviously Johnny. But that was my goal.
Yeah, well, for me, I try not to set myself those types of things. I mean, I would love to get, any late night exposure, late night television exposure, because that can set your career off. But, I'd like to perform at the Mothership in Austin. Joe Rogan's club is like, the Mecca, comedy
yeah.
Mecca these days.
Right.
My name and my picture on the world famous Comedy Store. In
Awesome.
Hollywood with some of the like Rogan and some of the greatest comedians in the world. So that
Yes.
was huge. When you think
That's
of
awesome, Tanyalee.
a female comedian from Canada, to have my name and my picture on the world famous Comedy
Don't you
Store,
know?
and got passed by Mitzi Shore herself, which is like the mother and queen of comedy. That was quite a notch on the old belt there. And
Awesome.
so
And you landed a TED Talk as well. I mean,
I've done 2 TED Talks. Yeah,
Oh,
I did
wow. Yeah.
one in Liverpool, England, and one in Cyprus. And
You
so I'm very
know,
proud of those as well. Yeah, that because I like my act, like I said, has changed a lot. It's storytelling, but it's also a lot of motivational stuff. I have this tattoo that I have on my forearm that says "Unstoppable Me," and that's my mantra. That's now become my thing.
right.
I guess my brand, because one of the things I learned TikTok and social media is everybody wanted to talk about my problems. Tanyalee, what do you struggle with? What's difficult? What are your challenges?
Sure,
What
sure.
can you do? And I'm like, why do we want to talk about that shit? I go,
Sure.
because and then I list off, all my amazing accomplishments.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
You don't need to feel sorry for me because I don't have a victim mentality. I've been doing stuff. I've been
Right.
getting, does not define who I am.
Yeah.
the unstoppable me mantra is not letting your size, your height, your weight, your color, your gender, your religion, your politics, your planetary affiliation define who you are, right? We are all capable of amazing things. And being little people, I wouldn't change, I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't change it for the world because I've had an interesting
Amen.
life.
I
I
hear
feel
you.
like, exactly. I feel like I'm this way. I'm meant to be this way for a reason. And
Yes, me
maybe
too.
Yes, ma'am.
hopefully it makes other people appreciate lack of limitations that they have or whatever, but having a
Yes, ma'am.
sense of humor about life and just getting on with it and not making excuses is how I live my life. And I think that should, and that's what I believe in, the unstoppable me mantra. Those are the people that I stick with, no matter what size.
Tanyalee, my mantra has always been, I'm still looking up. So when I do my comedy, I'll talk about this, like you talk about the bathrooms in the fitting room. I'll talk about the different things that are negative, but I'm still looking up. And then I always close with my act with one of the things is on my tombstone. I finally made 6 feet and I'm still looking up.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're about 35 minutes in. I want to close today on asking you about one last thing I had on. I found it amazing that you mostly perform in the UK, but that you speak in various segments about how your very first tour was in Japan. That was truly, I can only imagine some stories you could tell on that one, which we'll probably have to go into another episode someday. But the one I want to close on was outside of that. Has there ever been any big appearances for you on outside of comedy, like any network TV, movies, game shows, etc., that you want to talk about?
Well, I did. So I used to live in Hollywood in LA, and I was never part of the Hollywood dwarf scene because there's one.
Yes, ma'am.
There is one, right? And I got cast in the Austin Powers Goldmember teaser,
Yes.
not the movie, the teaser. So the teaser comes out 6 months before the actual movie. So Austin Powers, the first movie came out, and that opening sequence when Austin's running through the streets, ducking, chased by all the hot chicks. What they did is they recreated that whole opening sequence with all little people. So Vern Troyer, Mini Me, then played Austin Mini, and then all the hot chicks and the go-go dancers were all little people. And so I got cast. Marty Kleba, who Pirates of the Caribbean. I think Tara Joel was in it, and a lot of the Hollywood dwarfs. Well, I didn't know a lot of people. And so we were on the Paramount lot for 2 days, which was very cool. And everybody had dressing rooms, and everybody had to share. I was the only one that had like mobility issues, so I had the scooter. So I was like, they put me off to the end. I still had to walk upstairs to get into my dressing room. But they're like, how come you get your own dressing room? I'm like, well, maybe because we're an odd number and I've got the scooter. I'm on the end. I don't know. And so they would all sit around and talk and like, I'd be like sitting around on my scooter watching the production and stuff like that. And at one point, Vern Troyer, who had a stunt double named Gabe, Gabe and Vern were both in makeup, and they needed somebody to just stand in, which just means that you need to just stand where they tell you to stand there so the camera can line up the mark, basically. So they were looking, they're like, hey, you want to be a stand-in? I'm like, sure. So I just stood there, and they lined up. That's all I did. And I got back. How come you got to do that? I'm like, because I'm not standing around over in the corner. God, I'm just sitting there. I was a baby, But like, they were like, how come you, you just, I'm like, oh, come on, like, knock it off, right? And it was a pretty cool experience. But, everybody thinks, oh, you were in the Austin Powers movie? I'm like, no, I was in the Austin Powers teaser. You can't, even if you look at it, it's hard to tell. We were all in costumes. It's hard to see. But that was a pretty cool experience. It was my first time being on the Mike Myers showed up at one point, and
when I had originally met you, ma'am, years ago, I discussed with you earlier. It was Offset, obviously. When we had talked Offset about meeting, it was you were living in Hollywood then. That was when I spoke to you back in the days. Well, myself, I have nothing else. I am so honored that you come on the show. I would like to invite you back anytime you want to come back.
Definitely, yeah.
You are more than welcome to the
Anytime you want me, I'm your voice.
It was a pure pleasure for me to meet you. It was absolutely, you inspire me. I want to be a comedian someday when I grow up. But
Well, I mean, what are you waiting for? I mean, seriously.
My back, I have severe back issues that it'll kind of limit me physically now. But
well, drive your ass up on a scooter then. Like, I mean, you figure out a way. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, you know, the way you may notice I have a scar on my shoulder there. I had my shoulder replaced with my first orthopedic surgery. And being a diastrophic door, I had this done in August of 2024. First orthopedic surgery. With diastrophics, normally they have 20 to 30 surgeries before the age of 20. Anyway, I'm falling apart as well. But you know what? I believe that our mind heals our bodies. And if, you know, like, we're all falling apart and we all have extensive medical. It's just about reprogramming your brain, and then laughter and everything. All of that really helps in the healing process, and I'm a firm believer.
Oh, most definitely.
Tanyalee, thank you for those inspiring words, man.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Please stick around after we pull you off stage to finish the show. We want to hang out with you after we go off the air. But I can't thank you enough. This was such a wonderful time hanging out with you, and so much better of an experience than speaking to you years ago. Like you said, it's got you've come so far, and you can do so much more now these days. Well, we look forward to having Miss Tanyalee back on our show soon. Let's make some noise for her. And Tanyalee, we thank you for joining us on a little bit of coffee.
Thank you.
Hold us, man. We need all the help behind the scenes we can get.
What's happening?
What's happening? We're back.
Hey,
man! Oh man, was that a lot of fun?
That was
an amazing interview.
I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. Oh my God. Miss Tanyalee, one of a kind, isn't she? She is done it all.
Absolutely is.
Yes, she's awesome.
She's inspiring.
Have her on here anytime she wants.
Wonderful.
Speak of inspiring, let's end today's show on a conversation about the death of Val Kilmer this week.
Yes, sad to hear.
Oh yes.
Goodness, one of a kind. Offset today, we were talking about all the different inspiring and things that he has done. Movie wise, he's just played so many broad range characters, and wow, what a character we are going to miss. And
yes.
He was one of a kind. Favorite movie by him?
Top Gun.
What was your favorite movie that he did? I mean, obviously, I would say that one right there, Mr. Tombstone. I'm Your Huckleberry, and was it Playing for Blood? Remember?
I think my favorite line in that movie, because it was also my favorite by him. My favorite was when he was intoxicated and the gentleman looked at him and, "You're probably so drunk you see two of me." You mentioned I got two guns.
I got two
one
guns,
for each.
Are you retired too? Not me. I'm in my prime.
Our behind the scenes producer, Roy Boy, he had mentioned the movie Doors. And I had forgotten that Val Kilmer had played that part. What a good one. That was also one of my favorite parts he played.
He did that so well.
Yeah, he really did. He really, really, really did. He gave a great experience on that show. What's some other parts he played that were recognizable?
He played Batman, of course.
Yes. Probably one of my.
That wasn't a great. He was good in it, but the movie really wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, well,
Sure, Cut. What are
I
you
wanted to
thinking?
give a shout out to one of our fans, Peggy Joe. Peggy Joe, good morning. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
Yep.
Peggy Joe is always hooking it up.
Yeah.
She's always on it. So yeah, I mean, Balcom, late great. Top Gun. What was his? Now I'm not a Top Gun fan, but I know he was in that movie. Does anybody remember what
Iceman.
his character name? Iceman.
Iceman.
Well, he didn't want to do that movie at first. I mean, he's glad he did, and then when it came back around again to doing the part 2, he didn't want to do it, even though he actually enjoyed doing it the first time because of his voice. They
Oh,
had to do a AI voice, and they did a really good job doing that.
did
But
they?
yeah,
Yeah, because I didn't realize until you just said that was true.
yeah.
I didn't realize that they did that.
And he to hear that he passed away, oh, it broke
Yeah.
my heart. Man? He had a lot of parts. It just feels like I'm blank. Real
Was he
quick,
one of the
let's talk
one
about
of the
some.
Brat Pack movies
And
back in the
what?
day? Was he in the Brat Pack back in the day?
Mm,
Those guys?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a list of his movies, and the big ones that stand out we've already pretty much discussed. You
Yeah.
know, being I just went blank.
Well, I
Tombstone.
googled a couple of facts here, so I could go through them
Well,
right
let's
real
hear
quick.
'em.
He was the youngest person to ever be accepted into the Juilliard School drama division.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Interesting.
he turned down the Outsiders to do Broadway.
Wow.
He did an ABC after school special that didn't air after school. He got pranked on the set of Top Secret.
Okay.
He didn't want to make Top Gun. I already mentioned that one. He was born on New Year's Eve. His parents divorced early. Tragedy struck in his family. He went to high school with famous people. That's no surprise there. His dream was prophetic. He did a lot of what he set out to do. It was amazing. Like,
Oh, excellent.
whatever he reached for, he got.
That's awesome.
I'm looking at a list of his movies. He also Funny We're Little People, and I didn't even realize this. He played in Willow.
Oh,
wow.
okay.
Yeah, he was in Willow. Looking at a list of some of his movies, stand out to me anyway. Prince of Egypt, the cartoon by DreamWorks. He played in it. There was The Love Guru. He had a character in Mike Myers, The Love Guru.
Oh,
I
did he?
was unaware of that. But yeah, what a guy we all miss.
Sure.
I think that sometimes is in one sense neat about technology that in the AI world you can still kind of keep them going.
Yeah.
Interesting, but in the same token, the genuine person to pass on is always so sad. Christopher Reeves. I really enjoyed his
Oh,
Superman
yeah,
character,
that was so
and
sad.
not getting to see anything more by Christopher Reeves is sad. And then we have others that have gone, and What's some to close the show today? Let's talk about that. What's some characters that have gone on that you thoroughly miss seeing more work from them?
Chris Farley.
James
Chris
Earl
Farley.
James Earl Jones. James Earl
James
Jones.
Earl
He was an
Jones.
amazing, and he passed away. And they did what was it? Mufasa. They did that, and I was extremely happy that they did not try to dig him up with the AI and try to do that. They
Okay.
did a really good job on that movie. They didn't.
Mm.
They didn't try to do any wokeism or anything in that movie.
Right.
They did a really good
Retake.
I'll throw one that's passed away out there that will throw you guys off guard. Remember the late great George Burns.
Oh, George Burns.
Yes.
George
Yeah,
Burns.
he was great.
George Burns.
Oh, wasn't he just the funniest old
Yeah.
guy? Some
Him and the
comedy he did,
cigars.
I just
Always
fell
had
out
the
of it.
cigars.
Yep, I miss him. Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason, the great one.
Jackie Gleason had the risque lines on TV.
Oh yeah.
Lines that in today's TV you'd never get away with, you know.
And,
Talk about that a lot.
Burgess Meredith, which is
All right.
Mick
Mickey,
on
Mickey.
Mickey on Rocky.
Yeah.
Don't get.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
just
yo,
had to
Mick.
do it, did you?
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Mick.
Get him rock. Get him rock. You can get him rock.
Hey, yo, Mick. Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Well, guys, I think we're going to close the show a little early this week. We had a
All
wonderful, wonderful episode. We just need to end it on a great note. I thank Ms. Tanyalee Davis again for joining us.
Yes. What a great.
Thank
great
her.
guest.
Thank our behind the scenes guy this week. We've had to take on some new learning experiences quickly. And I think we've, for what we've dealt with, we've gotten through it, guys. High fives, everybody.
Yeah.
High five.
So, everybody, just stick with us, and we'll see you next Monday once again.
All right.
Exit the show. I'm going to give the stage to Pappy, and it's all yours, buddy.
Well, today's life lesson is, you can be anything you want to be. Tanyalee Davis is such an inspiration for not only short people who want to be a comedian or an actor or an actress, or just she can inspire both the tall and short. She was so inspirational, and she is funny. So please check her out on YouTube or any of her stand-up comedy acts. She is just an inspiration to all. So basically, my life lesson today is don't let anything stop you. I am inspired by Tanyalee, and I am going to try to make my next steps into the positivity and see what I can do to expand my horizons. And so I would hope that many of you took those same words and will inspire you. So until next time, this is Pappy saying, keep looking up.